Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. I hope your day and your week is going well so far. College football week 3 is officially here, and I've got a ton of great picks to go ahead and share with you guys. But first, as always, people, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. It helps the channel grow, and it really does mean a ton to us. We are just shy of 87,000 subscribers here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel. Our goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. A lot of people keep saying we can't do it. I still think we can. Please help us get there just a little bit sooner by hitting the subscribe button down below if you haven't already. Like I said, guys, college football week 3 is officially here, and with a new week comes a new opportunity to go ahead and make some money. I have 8 picks to go ahead and share with you guys in this week's slate. But first, before we dive into today's picks, we do have to do a quick little recap of how we did last week. And look, guys, I can't come in here and always celebrate my wins if I don't acknowledge my big losses. And there was no bigger loss than me last week. Guys, we had a really rough week 2 college football slate. It was hands down, without a doubt, the worst betting weekend of my lifetime. 3-10 overall, lost 7.33 units last week. We are now 6-14 overall in the college football season in the year of our Lord 2024. There's no sugarcoating it. There's really no positives to be taken from it. I sucked ass last week. There's no other way I can absolutely describe it. It was awful. And I'm betting most of you watching right now who don't really know me are probably going to click off this video right away seeing this, saying this guy probably sucks. Why would I watch this video? Well, I'll go ahead and tell you why. First of all, my picks are always free. So there's that. There's obviously a big advantage. You don't have to pay for any of this. Yeah, we went 3-10 last week, but it's not like I'm forcing you, or not forcing you. I'm not pushing you guys to pay for these picks. It's all free. But second of all, if you did watch me last season, you'd know I had a pretty good year last year. Football is actually my best sport. I know you wouldn't tell by last week's video, but football is my best sport in terms of betting. And so it was just a rough week. That's what I'm going to chalk it up as. It's in the past now. I'm already over it. I wasn't over it last weekend. It was a really rough weekend for me. But I'm over it. It's in the past. I'm on to the next week. And look, guys, like I said, it sucks. It was a horrible week. There's really nothing I can say. I can't spin it any way positive. The only thing I'm going to say is what goes down must come up. I think I got that right. The moral of the story being, after a week like we had last week, we are definitely due for a bounce back. And so in honor of this bounce back, in honor of us getting back on track this week, we're doing a special little giveaway here in today's video for a free $15 Amazon gift card. All you have to do is comment bounce back down below. Comment bounce back, and one lucky commenter will be selected to win a free $15 Amazon gift card. By the way, shout out to J Carson 5 who won last week's gift card giveaway contest. I'll be doing gift card contest giveaways all season long, so make sure to hit that subscribe button down below to literally win some free money. But yeah, shout out to J Carson 5. And one more time, guys, comment bounce back down below for a chance to be selected to win a free $15 Amazon gift card. All right, guys, enough of that. With last week in the rearview mirror, we're on to this week. 8 picks. This week, college football week 3. Let's dive right in. Jumping right into the outlier screen, guys, our first pick in this weekend slate is the Arizona-Kansas State game, 8 p.m. kickoff on Friday night. We're going with the over here at 59.5 points. This bet is available on FanDuel for -111, DraftKings -124, and Bet365 for -125. As always, guys, please make sure to shop around for the best sportsbook odds available. Look, guys, the reason why I like this bet comes down to a very simple fact. Both offenses on each side of this game have a clear advantage against the opposing defense. For example, Kansas State's rushing attack has been absolutely lethal through the first couple weeks of this season. They have an absolutely stellar offense. Specifically on the ground game, they have been tearing things up and match up here with an Arizona defense that is not very good up front against the run. So there is a clear advantage there for Kansas State and their high-power offense. Also, on top of that, Arizona does have a habit of giving up a lot of points, as shown in their Week 1 game versus New Mexico. Yes, Arizona scored 61 points in that game. Yes, they won that game, but they gave up 39 points to a New Mexico team that Arizona probably shouldn't have given up that many points to. The over-under, by the way, in that game was 60.5, and the total was 100 points in the game. Crazy. But yeah, Kansas State should have a great amount of success here versus this Arizona defense. Now, on the flip side, looking at Arizona, like I just mentioned, they had a really explosive Week 1 performance versus New Mexico. They scored 61 points against New Mexico, but then followed up with a pretty disappointing effort against Northern Arizona, just 22 points. Now, it was a 22-10 win, but just 22 points following that 61-point performance was pretty disappointing. But one of the big reasons for that downgrade, that lack of success there in their follow-up performance from their incredible Week 1 shootout performance, was the fact that starting center Josh Baker, who's also a team captain for Arizona, did not play in their Week 2 matchup. He's a vital part of Arizona's offensive line. And he wasn't the only injury on Arizona's offensive line, but he was the most important one. They had a lot of guys playing new positions, guys playing out of position. It was a wacky kind of makeshift fix on their offensive line, and clearly it wasn't that great. At the time of recording, Josh Baker is expected to play, which should be a massive improvement for Arizona's offense. With the offensive line back to normal, I do expect Arizona to be able to take advantage against a Kansas State pass defense that's not particularly great. Don't get me wrong, Kansas State's defense overall this year has been pretty solid. But the secondary is definitely their weak spot. I do think with the improved offensive line play, the Wildcats should have success here, throwing on Kansas State. Plus, McMillan on Arizona is absolutely disgusting. I just don't think Kansas State's going to have an answer for him offensively. And I'm not completely pulling this out of my ass. There is some data to justify what I'm saying here. I look at Arizona. This is their last 10 games when looking at this over-under 59.5 point spread. Okay, this is at this exact line that we're looking at in this game. And you see Arizona's 60% hit rate at this 59.5 point line. Arizona games typically seem to have higher lines and a lot of overs. As a matter of fact, dating back to last season prior to their Week 2 performance versus Northern Arizona, the Wildcats had cashed this 59.5 over line in 5 consecutive games dating back to November of last season. Now, for Kansas State, it's not as great, just a 40% hit rate at this line over their last 10 games, but they did cover this line last week versus Tulane in a 34-27 win for Kansas State, a 61 point total in that game. So they proved just last week that this could be a very similar kind of affair. I'm expecting points early and often in this matchup, and it seems like most people kind of agree. At least for the sharps, that is, you see the line movement on the right side of the screen. This line opened at 58.5. It dropped a little bit to 57.5, and now it's climbed all the way back up to 60.5, meaning that the sharps, the people who put a lot of money into this thing, also the public as well, they are putting their money into the over, which means the line keeps raising. I spent enough time on this pick, guys, but the moral of the story is it's a really solid pick here on the over at 59.5. We're going ahead and following up an over pick with an under pick. That's right, moving on to Saturday's slate now. Looking at the Alabama-Wisconsin game, 12 p.m. kickoff. We're going with the under here, 51.5 in this Alabama-Wisconsin game. Now, I forgot to mention that last pick, we're going to put 1 unit. I'll make sure to specify for each pick moving forward how many units I'm going to go put on each pick. So for that last pick, we're going 1 unit. For this pick, we're actually going to go 1.5 units here due to the fact that we're taking it at higher odds. You see here, minus 154 on FanDuel, minus 154 on DraftKings, and minus 155 on Bet365. Now, I'll be honest and say I was tempted to go ahead and take Alabama here at the minus 16.5 point spread, but on the road at Wisconsin with a Wisconsin team that, not fantastic, but they're a tough team. They play Big Ten football, and sometimes these SEC schools could struggle in that kind of format. Wisconsin plays slower, they keep the ball on the ground, and they play defense. Ultimately, I don't hate Alabama in the spread, but I like the under just a little bit more. Look, Alabama's going to score their points. Wisconsin's defense, although I do like their linebacking core, I think it's one of the better linebacking cores in all of college football right now. Wisconsin overall defensively just not good enough to slow down an Alabama offense that is pretty impressive. Although, to be fair, the data on them is kind of confusing. Like, they scored 42 points last week versus USF, but if you actually watch that game was really tight, and Alabama kind of struggled offensively in the first half of that game. It wasn't until the second half that they started to pour it on a little bit and make the score look a little bit better in their favor. That's not to say Alabama isn't a good offensive team. They're clearly one of the best teams in the nation. Jalen Milroe is a fantastic player, although I do think he has his limitations as a passer. I just think that Wisconsin's not going to be able to add their own points enough to make this total go over 51.5. I think Alabama's good for about 24, 27, 30 points. They're going to score their points. Wisconsin's not going to be able to stop Alabama in this game. Maybe they can slow them down a little bit. I don't envision Alabama scoring 40 plus on them here, but Alabama's going to get their points. The reason why I like the under, I just don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to match that production from Bama. The weakness in Alabama's defense right now does seem to be the secondary, but Wisconsin does not have the passing attack to go ahead and take advantage of that potential weakness in Alabama. It'll be interesting to see as the season goes along how Alabama's secondary will hold up against a better program. But Wisconsin is certainly not going to be the team that goes ahead and takes advantage of that. And again, there is data to go ahead and back up these claims. Look at the insights provided by Outlier. The under has hit in 7 of the Wisconsin Badgers' last 8 games at home. It's an 88% hit rate in the last 8 games at home for this underline. And again, looking at the data for Wisconsin, 9 of their last 10 games is under a 51.5 has cashed. The only time it didn't was versus LSU last year on January 1st, and what was a 35-31 loss for Wisconsin. The over did hit in that game. But overall, you see pretty consistent cashes in the under, including against teams like Ohio State. You see some good teams on that schedule. Overall, I just don't think Wisconsin's going to be able to keep up in this race with Alabama. Maybe they scored 10 points. I'd be shocked if they scored anything more than 14 points against Bama. And again, assuming that Wisconsin should play slower, and Alabama's pace of play has actually been kind of slow this year as well. Not slow, but slower than I think most people would think. I just don't see a lot of fireworks. I don't see a shootout. I just don't see Wisconsin putting up a big offensive performance against Alabama. So 1.5 units here on this pick. All right, guys, before we continue on with the rest of the picks, I do have to give you guys a quick word from our friends at DraftKings. That's right, guys. Guy Boston Sports and DraftKings have partnered here to give you guys a special offer during football season. It's very simple, guys. Use the link down below in the description. Bet $5 if you're a new user and get $250 instantly in bonus bets from DraftKings. You guys are going to go ahead and get free money to go ahead and throw on bets, including picks like the ones you see in this video. With all the free picks we're handing out between college football and NFL here on the Guy Boston Sports YouTube channel, having an offer like this would be very beneficial for you. And on top of all that bonus bet money, DraftKings does not stop there. They're also giving away 1 free month of NFL Plus on them. So again, guys, bet $5, get $250 instantly in bonus bets, plus 1 month of NFL Plus for free. It's a can't-beat offer, guys, and all you have to do is use the link down below to go ahead and achieve this. It's free money and free NFL content. What more could you possibly ask for? So one more time, guys, check that link out down below. Special thank you to DraftKings for partnering with us, for today's video. All right, guys, getting back to the picks. Going to try and speed up here. I know we're going a little slow here with our first couple of picks. Our third pick in this weekend slate, we're targeting the Boston College, Missouri game, 12:45 p.m. Kickoff. We're going Boston College here, plus 16.5 against Mizzou. And look, guys, without a doubt, Missouri looks wildly impressive. And as someone who, if you watched my college football videos last year, I was a big fan of Missouri last year. And I'm happy to see they're finally getting their due respect. Ranked number 6 in the country coming into this matchup, Missouri looks like a powerhouse in college football. This offense is insane, and the Brady Cook-Luther Burden combo might be the best quarterback-wide receiver duo in college football right now. So, Toss, if you love Missouri and you love this offense, you love a lot about this team, and this is, like you said, one of my teams from last year, why are you going to go ahead and bet against them here? And it's simple. I think Boston College has shown me thus far that they can hang with the big boys. Look, I get it. Florida State has looked terrible so far this year, but no matter what, that was a massive win for Boston College on the road against Florida State, beating them by 15 points on the road. I know Florida State, they've had 2 really bad losses already this year versus Georgia Tech and Boston College. But regardless, Florida State is a very talented team with a talented head coach, a lot of talent across the board on that Florida State team with a ton of experience. So for Boston College to go on the road there and still go ahead and take the W and play as well as they did, they deserve some absolute credit. And they followed that up with an incredible win against Duquesne, 56-0. Bill O'Brien has seemingly turned the program around at Boston College instantaneously, and I've been wildly impressed. And so, yeah, on the road, Missouri, number 6 ranked team in the country, playing really good football. It's not the best of spots, but I think 16.5 points is a lot of points to go ahead and give Boston College. Considering their play style, too, I think it's a pretty solid matchup. Boston College has been absolutely killing it on the ground so far this season. The rushing attack is one of the best in college football through the first few weeks of the season. And one thing that having a great rushing attack does for you is it slows the game down, right? Keeps the clock ticking. It keeps the ball out of your opponent's hand. That's key here, especially with that Missouri offense. You don't want them touching the ball constantly. And with Boston College's running attack, I think they should be able to control the time of possession a little bit better here. Boston College defensively has also looked really solid, right? Giving up just about 7 points per game over their first 2 games. And again, I know Duquesne's not much of competition, but they only give up 13 points against Florida State. And just to give you guys a little bit more data here to go off of, Boston College has covered 6 of their last 9 games as a double-digit dog. So pretty good recent data for that, as well as each of the last 2 covers have been straight-up wins, including that Florida State game. I know it's on the road. I know it's against a very good Missouri team, but plus 16.5 seems kind of disrespectful for how well Boston College has played so far this season. So go ahead and give me the points. We're putting 1 unit here on this pick. All right, guys, moving on to the fourth pick in today's, or I should say this weekend slate. We're targeting the Notre Dame-Purdue game, 3:30 p.m. kickoff, and I'm going with my Irish here, -9.5. Yes, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Go ahead, bring up the jokes. I deserve it. This team sucks. Well, not really, but they do suck. We are the Dallas Cowboys of college football. I mean, that's not new. This is something that I've been used to now as a Notre Dame fan over and over. It happened in the Brian Kelly years. It's continuing into the Marcus Freeman years. As shitty of a week as I had last week betting, the one of the few picks I was right on was that Northern Illinois plus 28.5. Never in a million years do I think they're actually going to win that game, but I did like them to go ahead and cover because that's what Notre Dame does. It's the same playbook. If you're a Cowboys fan, you're probably pretty good at predicting when they're going to disappoint you and when they're going to go ahead and exceed your expectation. Notre Dame is not all that different. They go ahead, they beat Texas A&M, they exceed our expectations just to go ahead and absolutely crash them down with a disappointing performance as they did versus Northern Illinois. And going ahead and following that up now, I think they're going to go ahead and bounce back here and beat Purdue. This is what they do. After a disappointing performance like that, they come out the next week, they have a good win, they kind of convince you to buy back in slightly, and that's what Notre Dame's going to do here. I think they cover here -9.5 versus a Purdue team that's solid but overall not great. And the public seems to agree here. This line opened at -16 back on September 4th. It's currently now at 9.5. Now, some of that has to do with the Northern Illinois loss. Some of that has to do with the fact that Riley Leonard's shoulder is hurt in this game. Although from all reports that I have read, the shoulder injury shouldn't concern too much. I think he should be fine to play and still perform at a decently high level, although I was pretty disappointed with his performance last week, as many people were. But looking at the data here, Notre Dame has covered the spread in 7 of the last 10 games overall and 6 of the last 10 games at this -9.5 point line. Actually, prior to the Northern Illinois loss, Notre Dame had been covering this they had actually been covering the spread a lot. 6 of their previous 7 games, they had actually covered the spread prior to the Northern Illinois game, dating back to last season, of course. Versus Purdue, who, although at this +9.5 line, has a 60% hit rate overall over the last 10 games, there's a 40% hit rate against the spread. And looking down below at the insights provided by Outlier, the Purdue Boilermakers are 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 games as an underdog, just a 28.6% hit rate. This just feels like a big bounce back spot here for Notre Dame, so I'm going to go ahead and put 1.2 units on this bet. All right, guys, for our 5th pick in today's slate, we're moving on to the Washington State-Washington game, 3:30 p.m. kickoff. We're going Washington here -4, which is available for -129 DraftKings, -135 on Bet365. We're going to go ahead and throw 1 unit on this one. Although Washington did disappoint me last week, they were one of my losers from last week, I'm going to go ahead and give them another chance here. Although they did not cover the spread last week versus Eastern Michigan, Washington still played a pretty solid game, beating Eastern Michigan 30-9 last week. The moral of the story here, guys, I just think Washington is a significantly better team than Washington State, that the lines, I think, don't really clearly state. Now, the line has started to move up. I see it at -5 on some sportsbooks right now. We're going to get it for -4 here. But I personally believe that Washington should be like a 10-point favorite in this game. I know some people are a little low on the Huskies right now, which understandable. This team has taken a massively different looking team than they were a year ago. New head coach, new quarterback, new a lot, pretty much everything. So I get it, but I think they have looked pretty solid in their first 2 games. And looking on the Washington State side of things, now I know people are kind of high on this Washington State team. They're coming off a really big win versus Texas Tech, 37-16 last week. But that was a game where Texas Tech went ahead and gave a ton of turnovers away to Washington State. I just don't see Washington State getting as lucky in the turnover battle and some of the things they got away with in that Texas Tech game that they're going to go ahead and get away with in this Washington game. Washington obviously a much better team than Texas Tech. So although, yes, it was an impressive win by Washington State last week, I just don't think they're going to go ahead and get as lucky as they were against Texas Tech against Washington, if that makes any sense. I know it sounds kind of confusing the way I just worded it. My point being ultimately that I think Texas Tech made Washington State look better than they probably actually are. I do think Washington will go ahead and take advantage in this matchup. And to be fair, Washington has beaten Washington State in 4 of their last 5 matchups and has covered this spread of -4 in 3 of their last 5 matchups. Overall, I think it's just too small of a line here. I think Washington has a clear advantage. They're clearly the better team in my opinion here. And I just think -4 is kind of crazy. It should be higher. I'll go ahead and take the value gifted to us here at -4 for the Huskies. All right, guys, and for our 6th pick in today's slate, we're going to look at Texas A&M at Florida, 3:30 p.m. kickoff. We're going Texas A&M here, -3. We're going to go ahead and put 1 unit on this game. Available BetMGM for -105, Caesars -110, Bet365 -110, and DraftKings -112. Guys, it's very simple. This game is all about fading Florida, right? The Gators are trending in the absolute wrong direction. That's not to say Texas A&M is trending in the right direction. I just am absolutely fading Florida in this matchup. I mean, if we go ahead and look at the insights provided by Outlier, the Florida Gators are 1-5, just a 16.7% hit rate against the spread in their last 6 games at home. This team struggles in the swamp, a place where they once absolutely dominated their opponents. Again, this Florida team just continues to sink. I couldn't find the word there. To sink down further and further and further here in the swamp. No pun intended. Well, actually, yes, there was a pun intended there. From an against the spread standpoint, just 3 of their last 10 games have they covered the spread. But even just straight up, this team has struggled. 41-17 loss versus Miami. Now we're going back to last season. 24-15 loss versus Florida State. That was without Jordan Travis, right? That's after Jordan Travis had gotten hurt and they didn't have their starting quarterback. They still lost by 9. 33-31 loss versus Missouri. 35-2 loss versus LSU. 36-39 loss versus Arkansas. 20-43 loss versus Georgia. The last time they actually won a game there, you got to look at South Carolina back on October 14th. They beat South Carolina 41-39, a very close contest at South Carolina. When they played competition last season, close to the level of Texas A&M, when A&M obviously was a ranked team coming into the season, then they lose to Notre Dame in the season opener there. But A&M is still clearly a solid team. I just think they're too good here versus, again, one more time I'm going to say it, a Florida team trending in the wrong direction. And looking at the right side of the screen, some more insights provided by Outlier. The Florida Gators are 0-5, 0% hit rate in their last 5 games as an underdog straight up. It's just not a good spot for Florida here, and it's a very good spot for Texas A&M to get a nice solid road win here to get their season back on track. So one unit going ahead here on this pick. All right, guys, and for the final 2 picks of this college football week 3 slate, we're going to go ahead and target the Colorado State game. Both of our final 2 picks are coming from this Colorado State game. Our 7th pick overall and the first of 2 picks from this game, we're going to go ahead and target the under here at 59.5. I'm going to go put 1.5 units here. Again, it's a minus 140 on FanDuel, minus 149 on DraftKings, and minus 162 on Bet365. Look, guys, everybody remembers that game from last year. Actually, was one of the more exciting games in the early part of Colorado's season, right? When everyone thought they were this great team. They started off 3-0. They had all the hype in the world. This Colorado State game was kind of the first indication this team had some fool's gold to them, that they weren't really as good as people thought they were, although they did still come away with a win in overtime. Now, looking at last year's matchup, this under actually did technically hit in regulation. The total was at 56 going into overtime. It was then in overtime that the over hit. Fast forward to this season, I just don't think we're going to see as tight and as high scoring game as we saw last year. I just don't think Colorado State is as good of a team today as they were last year when these 2 teams met up. And overall, I don't think it's a really good matchup here for Colorado State. Colorado State, very much like Colorado, struggles with running the football. All of their success on offense comes in the passing game, which is where Colorado's strength is defensively, right? They're secondary. So I do like the matchup there for Colorado's defense versus Colorado State's offense, an offense that can't run the football and relies on big plays and throwing the ball to succeed. And on the flip side, Colorado can't run the football either, but their strength is in Shedeur Sanders in their passing game. And I don't think Colorado State's defense is built to go ahead and combat that. Where is Colorado's weakness? On the offensive line. How do you hurt them? You pressure Shedeur Sanders. What is Colorado State not built to do? Pressuring the quarterback. They don't have a great pass rush. They don't have a team that's built to go ahead and take advantage of the weaknesses of Colorado. So, Colorado, the Buffaloes, should be able to get away with what they want on offense. I actually think they're going to probably score 30-plus points in this game just on the Colorado side of things. But again, my whole philosophy with this pick here, with this game, is I just don't think Colorado State will be able to keep up scoring-wise with Colorado. This line's just too high, 59.5. Again, you could see a game where Colorado wins this game, 33-24, and guess what? The under still cashes in that scenario. Even a 35-24 game, the under still cashes. That's why we buy a little bit extra value with that. Obviously, you can get the line for better odds if you go down a little bit, but we're going to take it to the 59.5 point line to play it a little bit on the safer side here. And I'm not just talking on my ass here, guys. There is some data to go ahead and back this up. You look at the insights provided by Outlier. The under has hit in 6 of the Colorado State Rams' last 8 games, a 75% hit rate in their last 8 games. I mean, even for Colorado, a 60% hit rate on this under in their last 10 games. Again, 80% hit rate in the last 10 games for Colorado State. That's actually 8 straight consecutive unders at this 59.5 point line dating back to October of last year. The last time they actually cashed the over on this 59.5 point line, you got to go back to October 14th versus Boise State. That's the last time they had a point total of over 60 points. And then for Colorado, they cashed the under in both of their games so far this season, and each of the last 3 dating back to last year. I do still think we're going to go ahead and see some points in this game. I just don't think you're going to see a ton of points coming from the Colorado State side of things. And wrap it up here, guys, with my 8th and final pick, because this video is going a little bit on the long side here. We're going to go with Colorado here, minus 6.5 points. We're going to go ahead and put 1.5 unit on this one, too. I'm very confident on this one. This actually might be my favorite pick of this weekend slate. We're going to go put 1.5 units, on Colorado here, minus 6.5. Available on FanDuel for the best odds at minus 128, although it is also available on DraftKings and on Bet365 for varying odds. And look, guys, there's not a lot of data here to back this up. You see Colorado not having a lot of success covering the spread. They have not covered this minus 6.5 point line in each of their last 10 games. They are 50-50 against the spread in their last 10 games. You see they have a couple hits there. Again, 50% hit rate in their last 10 games. But just looking at this minus 6.5 point line, zip, nada, 0 over the last 10 games. To be fair, Colorado hasn't done a lot of winning lately, but when they do win, they haven't been winning by a touchdown or more. But I do think that this is a spot where Deion Sanders can silence some of his haters and maybe cool his seat down a little bit, because his seat absolutely should be hot at Colorado. Yes, he's brought a lot of money into the program. Yes, he's put a spotlight on the program, and it's helped grow the program in terms of a size for the financials and stuff like that. But from a team standpoint, Colorado still stinks. They're actually not really all that much better than they were before he got there. But this is the kind of spot where he'll go ahead and silence his doubters. He'll beat a team like Colorado State and get you guys to buy back in. Until the next time when they get blown up by a better team, or even like a solid team like Nebraska, or if they play a ranked team. I mean, they're going to, Colorado's not really in a good spot right now. But this is one of these spots where Colorado, I think, can utilize on the talent they have and against an opponent who I do think is inferior to them. They did cover this line last year. They beat Colorado State in overtime 43-35. I do think they can go ahead and win this game again by 7+ points. Again, I do think this is a game where Deion Sanders is going to go ahead and try to silence the doubters. They're going to beat Colorado State by a touchdown or more, and he'll go ahead and say, see, you don't doubt us. We're back. We're still... I've sold my Colorado stock, but I do love them in this game because this just feels like a Deion spot where Colorado's playing an inferior opponent. They're going to beat up on them a little bit and try to convince the world that we are better than they actually are, even though I don't think they are. But we're not worried about the overall season here. This is not a future bet here. This is just for this game alone. I do think Colorado is the better team here. I do think they walk away with the cash on the spread and the win straight up. All right, guys, so that's it. Those are all 8 picks from today's video. They're going to go ahead. I'll put this link in the description down below. So go ahead and follow along with it. It's very simple, very easy. I will also put all the picks in the pinned comment down below because I know you guys have been asking for that a lot. Shout out to Outlier for being a fantastic sports betting tool and official partner of Guy Boston Sports. We do have a link down below, as well as this link, obviously, for the picks down below. That will be a special link to give you guys a 7-day free trial to check Outlier out for yourself. Guys, if you watched through this entire video, which kudos to you for watching all the way through. If you liked the data that you saw, if you want to see more, if you want to go ahead and get all this stuff for yourself and more. I only showed you guys a little bit of what Outlier can do for you. There's so much more to it. We do offer a special link down below that will give you guys a 7-day free trial to go ahead and check it out for yourself. So go ahead, check the link out down below. Special thank you to Outlier for being a sponsor of today's video. But all right, guys, that does it for you today. Thank you very much one more time for watching. One more time, guys, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and drop a comment down below. I will be back next week with another college football picks video. But until then, guys, I hope you're all winners. Enjoy week 3 of college football, and we'll see you next week.